Hey, what's up everybody? It's TR with Earth Angel Mushrooms. Decided to make a video that's going to be a little bit different compared to a lot of the mushroom growing videos I've seen. I want to gear my channel towards more of a commercial mushroom growing channel as opposed to necessarily how to. A lot of you guys have heard there's a million videos out there on how to grow mushrooms, and quite frankly, anybody with half a brain can grow mushrooms. I am a perfect example of that. If I can grow them, anybody can grow them. So, that being said, I wanted to talk about the business side of commercial mushroom cultivation. No one ever talks about that on YouTube, especially to guys that are just starting off that have aspirations to grow for a living. There is a distinct difference in the people that are successful in this business and the people who are not. And that factor is business people. You need to be a businessman or a businesswoman before you are a mushroom grower. If you don't have that, I have never seen anybody successful that was a mushroom grower first and a business person second. We all love mushrooms. That's why we got into this. I still love mushrooms. It still gets me excited when I go into my grow room and see mushrooms fruiting. It does something for me. So we all have that love and that passion. However, you need to change your mindset if that takes precedence over being a business person. It has to be business first. This just happens to be what we're doing for business, is growing mushrooms. Second, this is incredibly hard. Incredibly hard. You have to make up your mind whether you're going to make it or not. Whether you're going to settle or whether you're going to succeed. It is incredibly hard. I cannot put into words just how hard it is. And right when you think it can't get any harder, you contaminate 200 of 200 bags that you did that week. It just got harder. Any grown man who has done this long enough will tell you they have cried real tears. I have, no joke. Blood, sweat, and tears. You have to make up your mind and be committed, 100% committed to be successful. And you need to be a business person first. When it comes to commitment, some words of advice. Accept that you're going to fail and that you're going to fail often. So when you start off, you're overly cautious, which only makes you fail more. You contaminate stuff, and you contaminate stuff. Rather than looking at those as a failure, you need to look at those as they are telling you you need to change your process. So it doesn't matter what scale you grow at, does not matter. You will constantly have contamination at some level. What is acceptable and what is not. So I know my batting average, and I accept that I'm going to contaminate a certain number of bags pretty much every week. Or if I don't contaminate any for several weeks, I know my time's coming. The difference between someone who's experienced and someone who is not is that acceptance. So I've grown from my basement, and I've grown 20,000 pounds a week of agaricus. So for someone to say that you have no contamination or that you shouldn't expect to contaminate stuff is just a lie. It's just a straight up lie. It does not happen. I've been to agaricus farms that were growing 500,000 pounds a week, and it's the same thing there that it is at any level. There is contamination there. So you have to accept that and attempt to improve yourself and improve your processes and your system. So don't look at it necessarily as failure. Accept that you're going to contaminate things and try to use that as a tool, a learning lesson. If you are attempting to do this for business, so I'll change gears here a little bit. If you're attempting to do this as a business, be prepared to struggle. So I think the first 3 years that I grew or attempted to grow for a living wasn't much of a living. I think I had 10 days off in 3 years. 10 days off. Mushrooms never stop growing, and you have to pick them 7 days a week. You need to be prepared to sacrifice. There is an immense amount of sacrifice that you're going to have to do to get there if this is what you want to do for a living. So you take contamination, the heartache and pain that brings, the sacrifice of coming into work 7 days a week indefinitely until you can afford employees, which is a long time, at least for me it was. But I made up my mind early on that I would not accept failure. Failure was not an option. Does that mean I didn't have failures and hiccups along the way? Absolutely not. Because I did. I had a lot of them. There is a lot of heartache and pain. And I can tell you that you will be sad. You will be sad sometimes because it's incredibly hard. And when you're working 16, 17, 18 hours a day for weeks on end, my worst case scenario, I worked 40 of 48 hours in a row. That was my all-time high. But you have to accept that that's what you're going to do, or that's what you're willing to do to get there. I know of no other business that you have to work this hard. None of the business colleagues that I have ever had to work this hard to get there. But mushrooms are my passion. Mushrooms are my life. This is what I was put on this earth to do, is to grow fungi. I guess I'm better at this than anything else. It's incredibly hard. And to put it into context, I would like to think that I've done some pretty hard stuff in my life. I was a Marine infantryman. Then I went to flight school and became an airline pilot. So that's what I did up until 2010. And then I became a mushroom grower. I've also finished an Ironman triathlon. And if you take all three of those things, and they seem pretty hard, right? No. You take all three of those things, times it by 100, that doesn't even come close to how hard it is to run a mushroom business. So you have to be committed and know that there's going to be hard times, that there's going to be contamination. There's going to be hard times, and you're going to think you can't make it, and you're going to come into work, and you're going to see 200 bags of the 200 bags you did that week contaminated, right at the worst time. Prepare yourself, because the longer you do this, that will happen. It will happen. You will have mass contamination, and you have to be prepared for that mentally. So, the insight I can give you is, like I said before, be a businessman first. If I could go back in time and talk to myself 5 years ago, one, I'd slap the hell out of myself. But I would say, DR, start looking at numbers, start being a businessman right now, and set that passion to the side. Make your passion be a businessman and put mushrooms second. You will save a ton of heartache and pain by doing that. Look at the numbers. What are you making? What are you making per bag? How much does it cost per bag? What are your costs? What can you sell those mushrooms for? What scale do you need to be at to take a paycheck? What scale do you need to be at to hire employees? What scale do you need to be at to hire employees to grow your company? I can't emphasize that enough. That's the best advice I can possibly give to all of you guys that are thinking about doing this as a business. Be a businessman first. Be a mushroom grower second. Anyway, I hope I shed some light on my perspective on the mushroom industry as I see it and the mushroom business. Anyway, hope you all have a good week, and subscribe to my channel. We'll talk to you later.